Welcome to Category 5 Technology TV, episode number 401 for Tuesday, the 26th of May, 2015. Not sure what's happening on this side of the desk.
I'm very excited.
Tonight, we're going to do something really neat. We're going to actually use a graphical tool. We're going to learn how to determine what exactly is taking up all the space on our hard drive.
That is so useful.
Space. We're going to learn that on Linux as well as Windows. Sorry, Mac babies. You're on your own tonight.
I'm so excited.
Nice
I really
to see
need
you.
it.
Stick around. She's excited. You should be excited too. We've got lots going on, plus your viewer questions, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have lots of those.
All right, over to Sasha Dermatis in the newsroom. Hey, Sasha.
Hello. Here's what's coming up in the Category 5.tv newsroom. A Dutch startup wants to install their cloud servers in people's homes with an innovative radiator design. A team which recreates popular movies as 8-bit video games is attracting millions of views on YouTube. Nearly half of the global population will be using the internet by the end of this year, according to a new report. Dell has just released a new Ubuntu version of their Inspiron 15 3000 series laptop, and it starts at just $250. And a poo-powered bus has set the speed record in the UK. Stick around. The full details are coming up later in the show.
This is Category 5 Technology TV. Starring Sasha Dermatis, Hillary Rumble, Krista Wells, Eric Kidd, and your host, Robbie Ferguson.
This is Category 5 Technology TV. Hey,
Hi.
I'm Robbie.
I'm Kelsey.
No, she's actually that tall. I'm like raising my chair. What's going on here? No, that's Kelsey.
Yeah, that's me. I'm just really... Well, and now he's slouching, so that doesn't help.
Might as well slouch. There's just no
Can I
defeating you.
just say that when I was in the chat room for a little bit last week, one of the comments I heard was, I didn't realize Sasha was so short. And although I am short, and this is directly because you're
We've
so
propped her
tall,
up on a phone book tonight, though, folks.
I was also on a slant a bit. Like, I think that I was downhill from everybody. Robbie's yard is not flat. I am actually not as short as
Just to get that out there, she just wanted to clarify.
She's not that short. She was just on a different level than everybody else.
I was standing in a valley.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we hear
Yeah.
you, Sasha. Thanks for clearing that up,
No
because
problem.
that was bugging me all week.
Oh, yeah.
Is she standing in a valley, or is she really that
Just
short?
that short. I mean, she's compared to me, like she's still that
That also
short.
didn't help.
No, it
Standing
didn't.
next to you while in a valley.
Yes, that
Yeah.
didn't help either.
It was unfair.
I know.
And then
Sorry,
the
but-
next I logged out, and then I logged back in. It was something about how I'm vegetarian, and it's not real meat at all. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I'm out of this chat room.
And people are saying, oh, it was so smoky and everything last week, but it was a smoked barbecue. It was a smoker, right? I got a lot of smoke going and cooked the meat over
And
smoke
Robbie
instead of
completely
fire.
just disappeared.
I did. It was like a puff of smoke. It was
He
good,
was
though.
gone. Yeah, it was good.
Real
It was good food.
Nice food. So
Really good
thanks to everybody for joining us at the barbecue bash, be it in person or virtually, of course, through watching the show online. Hard to believe we have surpassed 400 episodes, and here we are.
That's amazing.
I want to say thanks to everybody who's contributed this week. It's a really, really bright day today, right, Sasha?
yes.
It is super, super bright. Unfortunately, I can't show. Okay, I will, you know what I'll do? I'm going to show you these drapes right now by the power of television. Look at that. We got the drapes, and I want to thank everybody who has contributed to helping us with those. Super duper bright night tonight, so it was a good chance to get them up because that blocks out the sun that is right there.
Yeah.
and has been in our face a couple of nights here on Tech TV. So
It's all good now.
it helps. We do have some other needs. We're working off of screens because our printer has gone kaput, and we've just got all these little miscellaneous things. Plus, we've got rent and insurance and all that stuff coming up, and so it really, really helps us out if you have the means to contribute. And we're trying to grow. We're introducing new shows. We're growing our platform and doing some pretty cool stuff. So if you appreciate what we do here at Category 5 TV, please consider go to donate.category5.tv. No pressure. But if you're able and willing, then that really helps us out.
Okay, and of course, Category5.tv is a member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. cat5.tv/TPN and the International Association of Internet Broadcasters, cat5.tv/IAIB.
Want to give shouts out to newly registered viewers. We've got a lot tonight, and I don't want to miss you. So let's say hey to Matt Dean. Thanks for tuning into the show.
Ka Olafson. Olaf.
Hey.
Mr.
Or Miss,
Miss
Mrs. Quiz? Mrs. Quiz?
Quiz? I don't know.
Aliases are tough. All right, we're going to plow through Mo Maravilla.
F. King.
Also, Alpha Fire 2005.
Tex Nation.
Better your... oh, yeah, okay. Better your web. Hey.
What? SMC 62.
And also Crash 423. Don't want to get ahead of myself.
The Elder Drive. Not to be confused with the Elder Scrolls.
Ooh, the Elder Divide there. Okay.
Oh, Divide. It's
And
Divide.
okay. The one no.
Life of
Money.
Pi.
That's good.
That's a good one.
Where you keep? Okay, you're going backwards. Are you doing this to confuse me?
Well, you went to Better Your Web, which was weird.
Okay. SMB basis. Hello.
Rebecca Palmer. Thanks for being simple.
She's not saying you're simple. To be fair,
It's the username.
the name was easy to pronounce, and
Yes.
she appreciated. And notice
Yes.
how you jumped right to that name because it was so much easier. So I will go with Calgary Storm. Hello.
Rivigenek.
Okay, that one I know is Rev D. Jenk. All right,
Oh.
hey, Rev. Also, Triffid 451, Jay Dane, Mark Decibel. Who have we missed?
Nadi.
And Soupy 60.
Matthew Allen. Another easy
Blue
one.
Nose Guy.
And finally, Dot NM.
Welcome to the show, everybody.
Welcome.
Thanks for being here. Hey, you can register too. Go to category5.tv. It's absolutely free.
Completely
Why
100%.
wouldn't you? It's
Yay.
free. I'm giving it to you. Take it.
Free stuff is awesome.
Don't be simple. We've got viewers all over the world tonight. Nice to see you. If you want to see where everybody's watching from, go to map.cat5.tv. You ready to get right into it?
I am.
Okay, here we go, folks. How much junk do you think is on your computer?
I think I've got a 500 gigabyte hard drive.
So about 457 gigs?
More than that, like 498.
I'm at the point I'm deleting things off my hard drive because of the fact that, I'm on solid state hard drives. They're fast, but they're smaller than the traditional spinning hard drive. So that's a little bit of a catch-22. I mean, you want the speed of an SSD, but you have the trade-off of not having as much space as you're used to.
Yes.
All these people with their 4 terabyte laptops.
How?
They're like,
This was
I got space.
This is like $2,000. How do you do that?
But I've got my little 128 gig. That can be tough when you are a video producer.
Yes.
So what do we do? What do? We figure out what we can delete, which is usually a pretty onerous task.
Yes.
Very difficult. Why? Why, Kelsey? Why is it so hard to clear space on our hard drive?
Because we don't know where everything's coming from.
Our computers tend to leave files all over the place. I tend to leave files all over the place. I download stuff and move it around and accidentally
forget
leave
about
I'm
it, or-
notorious for it. My desktop. I have a folder on my desktop called Icons. And it creates the illusion that I'm organized because whenever I would normally pummel a bunch of junk on my desktop, I put it into the Icons folder.
So you have no idea what's in there.
It's pretty crazy. Is that cheating? Sasha's nodding her head. Thanks, Sasha. I appreciate your support. So the thing is well, where does all this stuff go? What is taking up all the space on my hard drive? We're going to look at a tool tonight that's absolutely free, but here's the thing. It's for Windows only. What was that?
I have Windows.
Ha. Ha. You got Windows. Ha, 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 ha.
I'm happy I didn't
How do you like them viruses?
I haven't had any that I know of yet.
Well, you were probably a part of a botnet then.
What's that?
When your computer is basically being used by hackers to hack other servers and destroy and spam.
Probably.
It's probably the case.
I have a virus protection, but I don't know if it's actually working or not.
It's a placebo. It's actually a virus. I downloaded and installed this virus protection.
Well, it was recommended.
Anonymous source.
It was recommended
by torrent.
It was recommended to me by a friend who I hope knows technology.
Okay. How simple are they?
They're not.
They're not?
Actually.
Okay. Very good. At least no names this time.
Yeah. What?
Well, so what do we do? Okay, so this software is called Space Sniffer. Now, of course, that's okay. We can wait.
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Are we done?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Space Sniffer is available only for Windows, okay? But we've got good news because, hey, Linux has a thing called Wine. And it lets us run some Windows programs directly on our Linux machine. So tonight, I'm actually going to be doing everything on Linux because I want to show you at home, you Linux users, how to do this. Yourself and Windows users in general can take the same knowledge that we're going to learn because it's a Windows program, and so it's exactly the same stuff. So if you're on Windows, if you're on Linux, don't worry about it. It's exactly the same. The only step that's different on Linux is that we need a tool called Wine, which most of our computers are already going to have installed. So what I've done, because this is a Windows program and free Windows programs are notorious for what?
Viruses.
Somebody downloading it, adding a Trojan or something, and then making a fake download site. So I've got a link for you to take you directly to the legitimate download. That is cat5.tv/sniff. I'm going to go there, cat5.tv/sniff, and you'll see that that's going to take us right over to Space Sniffer. Let's bring it up on my screen here. Zoom out a little bit for those of you with overscan. There we go. We can click on download. And one of the things, okay, let's go to the official FOSS Hub download link. Look at all the, there's a bunch of ads and links and stuff like that. All you want to do is download Space Sniffer Portable. It's free. It's just going to download this zip file. Let's open it up. One of the things that that make it tough for us to find what's using space on our hard drive is getting a real look at an overview of what is taking up that space. I'm a visual guy, and to see things visually as opposed to a file list sorted by size really helps me to grasp what's going on with my hard drive. So this tool really, really helps me out. This is, you see, this is open the zip file.
It's an exe.
It's an exe file, yeah. And with that exe file, of course, you can just double-click on it on Windows. Now, on Linux, on the other hand, I'm going to extract it. Let's pop it onto my desktop, throw it in the icons folder. All right, so once it's on my desktop, there it is, okay? I can close out of that zip file now. Let's bring up a new, because I can, did I mention that I can do that on Linux? Let's spin around to another cube face. Let's pop over here. Right-click on Space Sniffer, and you should see Open with Wine Windows Program Loader. If you don't, go into Synaptic Package Manager or whatever your favorite tool is for installing programs in Linux. As your search, type in Wine, and that's the program that you want to install. Wine allows you to run Windows programs on Linux. Okay, so that's the only step that's different if you're on Linux.
Okay.
So from here on in, be it you're on Windows or Linux, it's exactly the same.
Cool.
Okay?
That's useful.
Yeah. On Linux, right-click and go Open with Wine. On Windows, just double-click on it. There you go. We're in Space Sniffer. It's as easy as that. Now, what do you notice? We've got a C drive, and my computer here, because I'm on Linux, has a Z drive. What is that? Okay, so on Wine, C is your fake Windows folder. Z, or Z, depending on which side of the border you're on, is the root folder of your Linux file system. So slash. All right. So for you at home, if you're on Windows, it's probably your C drive. Might be your D or something like that. You know what it is. That's just your hard drive. So in my case, it's the Z drive, and you can actually click on path to see what it's giving you. And notice that even though this is a Wine program, it does give me access to my Linux file system. So I can just click, I can double click on Z, and it's going to be the same thing. You'll notice that I'm going to start getting some error messages, and these are because on Linux, var lib and spools, and there are certain things that my user, simply don't have access to.
Yeah.
So I could run it as root. Realistically, though, there's nothing that's going to be outside of my user that's going to be taking up a great deal of space, and I certainly don't care about being able to access things like the spoolers and stuff like that.
Right.
So those error messages are not actually affecting the usability of the program. They're simply telling you, hey, I don't have access to those particular folders. Okay, so it's still populating. You'll see what's happening here. Whoa, just a bunch of squares, right? But look, notice at the right-hand side, it's actually loading more and more and more. Let's get that thing out of the way. And it's, see how this is getting bigger over here at the bottom right?
Yeah.
It's because it's finding stuff. I see right away there's a Miro. These represent folders, right?
Okay.
There's a Miro folder that it's detected has 3.7 gigabytes of files in it. So Miro being kind of a dead project, notice what I can do is I can double click on it and I can say, oh, well, back when I was using Miro, I was subscribed to these shows, and so it's actually using, notice up here, 3.7 gigabytes of my hard drive.
That's a substantial amount.
That's a little bit when you consider I'm on an SSD, let's say. Now, this computer is not on an SSD, but if I had a smaller hard drive, I might be concerned about 3 gigs. But as this scans, we're going to start to see more and more stuff that's taking up space on our hard drive. And I love the visual aspect. Let's go up again and watch what happens. Up.
Ooh.
Look at that. So see, now I'm back to the original view, but more stuff has loaded. And I see as I click or as I point it around, you notice how it follows my mouse. So I can get a really good visual of what's using space on my computer.
Right.
Let's zoom in a little bit here. VirtualBox VMs is a folder that has 192.5 gigabytes in use. I'm going to click on that. Double click. It zooms in. And I can now see, okay, there's one called Windows 7 Laptop. There's one called Snapshots, one called Windows 7 Laptop.vdi. That's all part of this Windows 7 Laptop folder. Okay. This folder here is called Windows 7 Demo System. This would have been for a demonstration that I did, and it is 60 gigs, and I can zoom in on that. And there are some other ones that are a lot smaller over here. So do you notice, what do you notice about the size of these as far as the visual aspect goes?
Well, they definitely look a lot smaller. Like, I'm looking at it, and it's like, it's not, it doesn't look like it's taking up a lot of space, but when you look at it, it's like 3 gigabytes or 2 gigabytes.
Right.
In the long run, that can add up pretty substantially.
It adds up, and what's really, really cool about this, Kelsey, is that I can, by simply pointing, kind of see, okay, well, this file here is 3.6 gigs. This file here is 3.7. That snapshot is 3.9. The total of that, see how there's a wrapper around those two items? Shows me that that is actually taking 7.6 gigs on my computer. So now if I double click on that part where it says 7.6 gigs, it zooms in and shows me a little bit closer what these files are, how big they are. And I can go back and I can look around. Let's say I go into this demo system and it's just one big 60 gig file. But as I click around, I can see that these are all taking up space on my computer. Let's go up a level. Let's see what else is being found here. Okay, so we're still in virtual machines. Let's go up to the top level. I'll click on home. That takes me up. Okay, we've got virtual machines, Robbie folder. The Robbie folder is still being populated. There's a desktop folder, which I can see, at a glance, I can start to see, oh, well, there's some stuff going on here. What's this? Oh, there's a folder on my desktop. Notice what has happened there. Visually, what I'm looking at here when I hit home is an overview of my entire computer. But then I can see here that my desktop, okay, visually this is showing me the desktop of, now everything's in grids, so go up to the top here, home Robbie, okay?
Yeah.
So home Robbie. On Windows, it'll be C:/users/Robbie. And then I've got my desktop. And if I double click on the desktop, I can actually zoom in and I'm seeing what is taking up space on my desktop. This is where I throw all the junk, right?
Yeah.
So now I see this folder over at the right here called ISO, and it's taking up 16.4 gigs. And I'll bet there are a lot of us geeks out there that are going to have a similar folder to this. There's a 2.9 gig Windows Technical Preview, which came out, 7 months ago. You can tell just by pointing to it. Here's the one thing that is going to be different between Linux and Windows. Is that this is a Windows program, so on Windows you're going to have access to a couple of additional tools that you don't have access to on Linux. And what that is, when I right-click, I've got Open, Explore, Cut, Copy, Create Link, Delete, Properties. Okay, so the only one that's going to work there on Linux is Delete. May sound bad, but on Linux, realistically, that's the one that we really need.
Yeah. It's
a nice touch, though, that on Windows, if you're not sure what something is, you can open it. Let's say you've got a big video file and you're not sure, was that the master copy or is that the rendered copy? And so you can click on it to open it and you can actually preview it, for example. So on Linux, we've only got the ability to delete. I'm going to show you what else we can do here. But first of all, step one, if I right-click and go delete on this Windows Technical Preview, look at what it does. It does give me the full path. So now on Linux even, I can go to, forget about the Z, just /home/Robbie/desktop/ISO/Windows Technical Preview x86enus.iso, and I can preview that, open it, whatever I want to do. I can find that folder by simply going to that folder. And where was it? ISO on desktop, right? Yeah. So easy enough. There's the folder, right? So this is what the folder looks like in my browser. So then if I want to see the Windows Technical Preview, there it is. Okay, so it's not really a setback. But now there are two things that I can do. Either I can use this tool, which is really, really handy. I can find the files that are taking up space and I can go delete. Yes. And I can go, okay, Linux Mint Cinnamon, Manjaro, Point Linux with Mate, Ubuntu 14.04. That's getting a little bit old. Let's right-click and delete. Now, on Windows, it's going to be really, really fast and good. On Linux, you may not see it update itself automatically, so you just hit this refresh button, and you'll notice that those are now gone. Okay? So that's fine and dandy. So now if I go up, we're going to see that that folder space is down to only 12.2 gigs. And I've already freed up that much space on my hard drive with a couple of mouse clicks.
Yeah.
So visually, I'm seeing what's taking up all the space, and I can blast things off as easily as that. There you have it, folks. That is called Space Sniffer cat5.tv/sniff, SNIFF. And it's as simple as that to go through your entire hard drive on Windows or Linux and clean things up.
And I might have to start doing that because that looks really useful.
It's a really useful, really, really, really simple tool. It just makes it, like I say, I'm a visual guy, and that just makes it so easy for me to see what's taking up space. I don't like the pie charts. And I don't like the graphs that this just makes sense because it feels like I'm flying through my hard drive in a 3D space kind of thing. And I'm clicking around and I'm finding really, really quickly what it is that's taking up space.
I wonder if you can find like little viruses that have embedded themselves onto your computer.
With this tool, I think that would be tough because it really goes by what's the biggest stuff on your hard drive.
Oh, okay.
What stands out to me are the things that are large. So I see this Windows 7.VDI. That's a virtual machine. So I know that that's taking up a lot of space. And I can see virtual machines is taking up 65.9 gigs. Now, a virus is comparatively small. So not really the tool for that. But certainly this, as far as our approach to use this to clean up space on a hard drive, I think of scenarios where you're trying to reduce the amount of space that you're using. And an SSD is probably a really great example. Another example would be if you've got a server. I have an Unraid server at home where we store all of our videos. And the problem that I have is that we've got a lot of large files. but there's probably some redundancy there. There's probably some duplication,
Right.
just because over time, you've got master copies of shows that we've done, and then you've got the renders, and you've got the ones for the uploads and RSS feeds and all this. So some of it may be redundant. However, using a tool like this would make it a lot easier for me to go through and nitpick through and find the ones that don't necessarily have to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So great tool, and I hope that you found that helpful tonight. And again, that's for Windows. However, as you see here, I'm on Linux and it's working just fine with the few little things that you can't do that you can do on Windows. However, it is fully operational and it does the job, and it gets to the purpose of what it is that we're wanting to use it for.
Yeah.
So that is Space Sniffer, cat5.tv/sniff. Thanks for tuning in tonight, everybody. This is Category 5 Technology TV. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, everybody.
We've got your viewer questions coming up in just a few moments' time. In the meantime, Sasha Dermatis is over in the newsroom. She's got some interesting stories. I heard something about a bus that is powered by poo. I got to know all about that. Don't know why. It just sounds interesting. Sasha Dermatis, over to you.
It's Tuesday, May 26, 2015, and here are the stories we're covering this week. Heat your home with a server for free. 8-bit arcade-style movie remakes are getting millions of views on YouTube. A new report has revealed that nearly half of the global population will be using the internet by the end of this year. Dell has just released a new Ubuntu version of their Inspiron 15 3000 series laptop, and it starts at just $250. Yes, they're powering buses with cow poo now, and one was clocked doing over 75 miles per hour. These stories are coming right up. Don't go anywhere.
Now, we've got a deal for you if you're looking for hosting for your website. $70 is all you need. That's going to get you unlimited hosting space, unlimited bandwidth, and... okay, I got to tell them. Can I tell you? We've just upgraded everything to SSD. So if you sign up for this package, you're going to be hosting your website on solid-state drives. It's going to be very, very screaming fast, and it's only $70 a year. Price didn't go up, but the package got better and better. You've got unlimited email accounts and your own .com, absolutely free, included in that $70. All you got to do is go over to cat5.tv/dreamhost, sign up today, and make sure during checkout you use the coupon code CAT5TV. That's going to get you that deal.
Woo.
Back to the newsroom. Here's Sasha.
I'm Sasha Dermatis, and here are the top stories from the Category 5.tv newsroom. All computers produce heat, but computer servers produce a lot of heat, so much that it usually costs a fortune to cool them down. So why isn't this heat used instead to keep homes or offices warm? Now, a Dutch startup called Nerdalize has introduced an innovative way to deal with this big problem for the tech industry. Nerdalize's solution is effectively to spread their data centers across domestic homes linked by fiber optic cable. The excess heat can then be used instead of going to waste. It's a good idea. Their radiators are actually nodes to a distributed cloud-based supercomputer. A single unit won't be enough to heat a room in midwinter, but after a small setup fee, the heat is completely free to users, so it could reduce heating bills during the cold winter months. Definitely keep your pipes from freezing. Nerdalize,
that's smart.
That is smart. Nerdalize gets its money for providing Nerdalize gets its money for providing data services. Whew. During this year-long pilot, its clients include Leiden University Medical Center, which uses the radiators to crunch through lengthy protein and gene analysis. The server in the radiator does not stop working when the unit is turned off, but the heat is pushed into an extractor on the outside wall. And in the unlikely event that a user needs heat but the internet is down and the radiator has nothing to work on, it starts performing dummy equations. While you may be concerned about the security of your data, Nerdalize's co-founder disagrees. He says their dispersed network of servers is more secure than a data center, which represents a single point of failure. He explains it becomes nearly impossible to know what data is where, when it is there, and how to get it. I don't think he's making a point of security through obscurity, but rather that by decentralizing the data, you're actually less at risk for a sizable breach. That makes sense, I think.
I
like this idea because I live in Canada and I am always cold.
You'd like one of these servers in your igloo, would you?
Would you, eh?
I think first of all, there's the ominous aspect. Spoiler alert, but person of interest with finding out where the machine is located, right? It's in the infrastructure, and similarly, what they're talking about is creating this supercomputer powered by the infrastructure with nodes being all over the place,
Right.
generating lots of heat, creating heat for these homes, which is smart.
Yes.
Very, very smart. I'd love to see that kind of thing come to fruition. I think what it boils down to for me, without the kind of mock conspiracy theory, but realistically, we've got this situation where, okay, supercomputers, powerful computers are generating a lot of heat. And so what do? We throw air conditioning at them. So we're countering the heat by generating more kind of carbon emissions, or doing more damage for the environment than is, like, we're counteracting it, but not in necessarily a good way. This is actually instead saying, okay, this is something that we can utilize instead. It's like that recycling facility that you talked about a while ago that was taking plastic out of the air and creating things out of it. Like, it's a smart way to recycle. And that's basically what they're doing, is recycling. I
think I would feel better about this if instead of in homes, they were using these in like public pools to heat the pools. Okay. And in community centers for the homeless, and in ways
liquid
where
cooling systems.
I mean, not that I'm saying because I live in a house, I would like my energy costs to be lower, but I think that they could probably use this as a way to give back.
Charities and stuff, like places that really need it, like youth centers, women and children centers, homeless centers.
What about even like shopping malls and things? Bring down the taxes, like bring down the amount of money that taxes are paying to heat. Not shopping malls, obviously, are not tax funded, but government buildings or buildings that are public access.
Yeah. Or if there's that much heat that's coming from them, just as an idea, isn't there a way that they could like put it an underlay under an asphalt road and like de-ice the road so they wouldn't have to salt them?
We've got so many ideas. So many ideas.
But if we do that, then there's no more like bus cancellations. There's no more snow days for students.
That's right. Snow days for anybody who doesn't live in Canada.
Terrible idea. Terrible idea.
The rest of the news is canceled. We'll just discuss this for the rest of the hour. A team which recreates popular movies as 8-bit video games is attracting millions of views on YouTube. David Dutton from California makes the old-school arcade-style films for film collective Cineflix. His 4-minute version of 2001 Japanese anime movie Spirited Away has attracted nearly 1 million views since it was uploaded last month.
Wow.
Other films to get an old-school makeover include Titanic, The Avengers, and Frozen. Mr. Dutton uses off-the-shelf software, Adobe Photoshop, and editing software After Effects to create his films. His brother Henry writes the distinctive music, and the sound is edited in Adobe Premiere. 2 years and 45 films later, Mr. Dutton's 8-bit cinema efforts are getting a good response from Hollywood itself. James Gunn, who directed the movie Guardians of the Galaxy, said on Facebook that Mr. Dutton's version, released in January, makes my heart sing. And the producers also claim to have worked with some of the studios directly on remakes. Copyright is not an issue for the studio because the creations fall under the umbrella of parody, which is included in the Fair Use Clause of U.S. copyright law. You can check out the videos by visiting Cinefix on YouTube. That is fun and awesome. Was there a picture behind me of one of these that I didn't get to see?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
One of the 8-bit cinema, The Avengers.
Perfect.
How cool is that? I mean, for us retro fans, right? Retro video game fans and all that kind of stuff.
We could talk to them about doing maybe a little bit of a... category 5.
There you go. Basically, I'd be just an egghead.
An egghead surrounded by a bunch of pretty girls.
There you go. Yeah. A bunch.
A group of pretty girls.
Yeah.
The International Telecommunication Unit, a United Nations body, predicts that 3.2 billion people will be online. The population currently stands at 7.2 billion. About 2 billion of these will be in the developing world, but just 89 million will be in the least developed countries such as Somalia and Nepal. They found that 78 out of 100 people in the US and Europe already use mobile broadband, and 69% of the world has 3G coverage, but only 29% of rural areas are served. Africa lags behind with just 17.4 mobile broadband penetration. By the end of the year, 80% of households in developed countries and 34 of those in developing countries will have internet access in some form, the report confirmed. In the year 2000, there were just 400 million internet users worldwide, it said, an eighth of the current figure. So last time I read the news, we talked about how there is like 2 million people still using dial-up internet. So
Blows my mind.
So
Why?
like from 2 weeks ago when I read the news, 2 million people using it, to this story, which is, you know, most
3.2
of the
billion.
world, is going to have internet.
That's crazy.
Somebody help these poor 2 million people that are still on dial-up. That's what I'd like to see.
My favorite thing was in the graphic, like it showed, like it's like a GIF, I guess, of going across
GIF.
like GIF.
GIF.
Is it a GIF?
It's a GIF.
It's a GIF.
It's a GIF.
It's a GIF.
I always called it a GIF.
It's a GIF.
It's not Jiffy peanut butter.
GIF, like it's a GIF. Girl, GIF.
Sorry, your point?
No matter where you are, someone is always on the internet. It could be like 2 a.m. and there's somebody on the internet.
And they're sitting there like this.
I was watching a Forensic Files once, and it was like to solve the crime. The perpetrator had emailed a map with an X that marked where this body was hidden. This is going somewhere, I promise.
Okay.
So they had the map, and they've tracked down the website that it was downloaded from, because this was like back in like the early 70s. Only one person had gone to that website and downloaded that map. That would not happen now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. How crazy is
Yeah.
that? All right. Dell is one of the most important providers of Ubuntu-powered hardware, and the company has just released a new laptop called Inspiron? I can never say this. Inspiron 15 3000 series laptop Ubuntu edition. Companies like Dell or IBM have helped to make Ubuntu much more popular because they sell a lot of hardware, and they're shipping that hardware with Ubuntu pre-installed. It might not seem like a big deal. After all, you can always install something else, but so many customers don't switch to a different OS, and Ubuntu remains installed. It also helps the fact that Dell, despite its big name, still has some very affordable laptop and netbooks. The price starts at $250. The cheapest configuration features a dual-core Celeron processor, 4 gigabytes of RAM, and a 500 gigabyte hard drive. On the other side of the spectrum is the quad-core Intel Pentium with 4 gigabytes RAM, 500 gigabytes hard drive, and 2 years of warranty instead of 1. This version is still super cheap at only $350. Because they ship with Ubuntu and not Windows, the price of the device is lower, making these versions a very good choice for the budget-minded. And they won't get viruses, right? Robbie?
Well, that's part of the benefit of having Linux as opposed to Windows, right? It's not that viruses don't pass through Linux machines. It's that they're not susceptible to that programming. And typically, one of the problems with Windows machines is that you're always running as an administrator. And that is, Leo Laporte made a really good comment when he was talking about deprecating XP. It's like, if you're not going to deprecate it, at least just make it so that you're not running as administrator all the time, because then 90% of the things that are going to happen aren't going to be able to happen to you. And Linux doesn't run as an administrator out of the box. It doesn't let your system run malicious code because you do not have the access to do that. So it's a lot safer. And Ubuntu is based on, it's a flavor of Linux.
Ah, speaking of flavors.
The more you know.
The UK's premier poo-powered bus, the Bus Hound, has broken the land speed record for a regular service bus. The bus, which is operated by Reading Buses, hit a confirmed top speed of 76.785 miles per hour around the Millbrook Proving Ground in Bedfordshire. The bus would usually be limited to 56 miles per hour. Reading Buses performed some minor tweaks to allow for the higher top speed, presumably some suspension tweaks and the removal of the speed limiter. But otherwise, it's a standard bus that would normally putter around the streets of Reading. The bus is painted black and white in a pattern that is reminiscent of the Frisian cows used for milk production in the UK. Haha, so it's painted like a cow.
Holy cow.
Holy cow. The bus hound is powered by biomethane, which is produced by an anaerobic digestion of cow manure by bacteria in a bioreactor. The biomethane is then compressed, liquefied, and stored in 7 tanks fixed to the inside of the bus's roof. Liquefied biomethane is very similar to compressed natural gas, which can be used with slightly modified internal combustion engines. So hopefully that bus never crashes.
Oh, my goodness.
You'll have 7 tanks of biomethane fuel over you.
Dear.
I would not want to be the guy sitting in the back seat when the roof collapses.
I don't want to
cut the cheese.
You know what I find funny about this thing? I mean, the technology, wow. Okay, they've taken poop and turned it into a fuel to power a bus that actually moves. I saw you were doing a conversion there so we can figure out how fast 75 miles an hour is. 120 kilometers an hour. Faster than our speed limit on our highways.
But the speed limit that most people travel anyways.
So we've made this bus. We're going to take it on a racetrack to prove that poo is a good power source. How great is that?
All the horses are laughing, or all the cows are laughing at all the horses and their single horsepower.
Yeah. Sasha, can we interrupt the news for just a minute? olsenhome.com/GIF says the GIF graphics file format was invented by Steve Wilhite. Now that I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing right. In 1987. Okay, was it GIF like Jif the peanut butter, or a G like gift? It's pronounced GIF. Period. The end. That's final. End of story.
Why don't they spell it as GIF then?
Why don't they?
Yeah,
because it's short for
graphics.
Isn't it graphic interchange format or something?
Graphics.
It's pronounced graphics. Graphics.
Interchange format.
I don't know
no
why.
No wonder I always sound so simple when I'm reading the news and pronounce things wrong, because everything is different in nerd world.
Well, you know what? At least we've got record of the proper way to pronounce it, regardless of why it was pronounced that way. There you go.
Thank you. For all your tech news with a slight Linux bias, visit the Category5.tv newsroom at newsroom.category5.tv. For the Category5.tv newsroom, I'm Sasha Dermatis.
Thanks, Sasha. This is Category 5 Technology TV. Welcome to the show. If you're just joining us,
hi.
Where you been? You've missed a lot of great content here.
You have. This has been a great show so far.
But if you're just coming to the show now, I mean, you might as well rewind it afterward and watch the beginning. The beginning was really the best.
Yes.
This next part is also going to be exceptional, but and that's because it's all about you, your viewer questions, all the questions that you've sent in. So it's because of that I think it's time to answer your questions.
Yes. So the first question comes from Vikesh. I think I'm spelling that.
Yeah, but you're the same person that says GIF.
You're the one who says GIF like the peanut butter.
Which is correct. No. Should I pull up that website for you? All right. Hey, Vikesh.
So his question is, suppose I have 3 cameras and I want to do separate recording and save each recording separately on different discs. How can this be achieved?
Okay, well, the context here I'm seeing is having seen the video on YouTube where I showed how to use multiple webcams. And so the question here is, okay, if you're using Telestream Wirecast, which we are, how can we now take that and broadcast from Wirecast while simultaneously recording to disk each individual camera to later post-produce? And I'll tell you, one of the things that's beautiful about Telestream Wirecast, so let's back up a little bit. And you're going to learn about this kind of stuff on my show called The Show Show.
The Show Show.
If you want to learn about broadcasting, head on over to, actually the easiest way to find it right now, it's a bit of a hack around, but go to neweveryday.tv, that's one of our shows, because they have the new back end that Category 5.tv hasn't yet launched yet. So if you go to neweveryday.tv, up at the top you see the Category 5 menu, you'll see the Show Show as one of the links. That will take you to our Facebook page. You can like us, okay?
Yay.
All right, roundabout, but that's how you get there for now. The Show Show is going to talk all about that, but essentially what Wirecast does brilliantly is saves the need for post-production. I don't have to go back and redo camera transitions, because if I want to transition over to Kelsey, there we go. If I want to transition over there. If I want to, I'm going to throw this over to you, Sasha. There's Sasha's newsroom set, which is in fact a virtual set, live with live chroma key. Right? That's all Telestream Wirecast, and I don't have to do any post-production. It's as I'm clicking here is what you're seeing at home, whether you're live or recorded and watching this on demand. If you want to record separate channels, here's the thing. Okay, so I'm assuming from watching that video that you're using webcams. And webcams, if you have 3 of them times 1080p, you're going to be using a lot of CPU resources, and it's going to crunch your system as it is. I tend to prefer to use HDMI. It's going to work a lot better as far as seamless transitions and everything, because the CPU usage, I don't know if you can see here, top right-hand side of my window shows that we are currently using 48% CPU, 44, 50, in around there. But meanwhile, we're streaming at 34,000 kilobits per second, 30 frames a second. You see that up at the top there? So that shows us that we're able to get really, really good response from this Wirecast system using our setup. So we're using HDMI into a Magewell card, and it's brilliant. Again, we're going to learn all about that on the Show Show. But so recording to disk individually is not really fathomable because Wirecast is a full, it's the production suite. It produces the video and saves that produced video to disk. So in order to have individual recordings of each camera, there are 2 things you could do. If it's an HDMI camera, for example, or even if you're SD as opposed to HD, if you're using FireWire, for example. Either of those, I could, if I wanted to, because we're using a DSLR over here, I could push record and be recording to the SD card while it's outputting video over HDMI. Your camera has to support that. I think these D5100s will only do up to 720p if you're simultaneously recording to disk. Without recording to disk, we can do 1080p.
Ooh, fancy. Okay.
So that's the caveat. But so you can have each camera individually recording to its SD card, and that would accomplish that. But as far as on your computer goes, without having, pardon me, something in the in between, it's just not possible. Just not possible. You could have some ATEM recorders or something in between your camera, but then you're getting really expensive, right? If I had a couple of just HDMI recorders, for example, so going from my camera into an HDMI recorder out to the computer to broadcast from Wirecast, then I could record on that recorder externally, and have 3 of those. But again, they're not they're not USB for a webcam. So I think what you're good to do is set up your shots, make it so that when you are producing it live, you don't have to go back and do post-production. It's always nice to have raw video, though, but it's also, a lot more work.
Yeah.
So do subscribe to the Show Show, okay? And make sure you let me know your questions, because these are the kind of questions I really would love to kill an entire episode on the Show Show. I can't really do it here on Tech TV. Thanks for the question.
Got a limited amount of time, so
yeah, and lots of questions coming in as well.
Our next question, though, comes from Michal I'm really sorry if I'm completely like destroying your
We should just
names.
have a disclaimer right at the top. We're going to butcher your names.
Because
So,
you're not all
sorry,
from
and now
areas we know.
There. Yeah. Mihail.
Mihail, I think.
say.
Probably.
We're probably reasonably close.
Yeah.
And if not, call me Ruby. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Hi, Ruby.
Didn't mean you.
Mihail's question is how to root his Samsung Galaxy S3 to root it under Debian.
Well, you can send me an S3 and I will learn to root it. But there are some good resources out there. I would say probably the best one that I can think of would be Android Roots. They've done a full tutorial, but really, you haven't given me enough information to really go with because there are a couple of things. What version of the OS are you running? Right? What kind of phone do you have as far as is it a Canadian US phone or is it an international phone? Android Roots has created a great tutorial online for the S3 if you have a US Canada phone, so not an international phone because I don't want you to brick it, and it has to be it's got to be Jelly Bean, but it depends, maybe there are other tutorials out there for you. I'll put together a quick link for you. We'll go cat5.tv/root S3, all one word, so it'll read like Roots 3, and that's going to take you to that tutorial, and hopefully that will help. Again, not for international phones. It's got to be Canada or US, and it's got to be Jelly Bean. So I hope that helps. I hope that you fall into that category. You haven't provided that information if I'm off. Maybe, you know what, Android Roots would be the guy to talk to. That community is all about rooting the Android phones, and that particular tutorial is going to be all about doing it from Windows, Mac, or Linux.
That's pretty good.
Good luck.
Yes. Our next question, and I'm probably going to butcher this one too.
We did the disclaimer.
I know. Who do we know?
Sure. Who do we know?
Okay, who do we know? He recently loaded Mint 32 onto a system that started as an XP32 laptop OEM,
Okay.
then a Vista 32 upgrade, then Windows 7 32 retail box upgrade, and
Okay.
then now Mint.
Okay.
The problem is the USB and the SD card reader is not found. They are not listed in the BIOS system devices.
Okay.
Also in F12 boot options, they are not on the list. The unit is an Acer 8100 Intel 32-bit with with BOS version S3C19.
I just let you go through it because I like to
Okay.
hear you fumble over words and stuff, and that's fine.
That's rude.
GIF. Okay, so it's not showing up in your BIOS. It's a USB SD card reader, and it's not showing up in the BIOS at all. So that tells me it's not necessarily OS specific because the operating system happens after the BIOS has given the system access to the hardware peripherals. Okay, so if the BIOS doesn't see it, no operating system that boots is going to see it.
What's a BIOS?
BIOS is the integrated chip-based system that controls all of your hardware, so that your computer knows you've got a hard drive that is this size and it's found on this port, and then it tells all the operating system and everything how it can access that hard drive. So if it's not seeing the USB device, the OS is not going to see that, the operating system, because the BIOS has said there is no USB device. So it can't connect to it. And it controls everything like the date and time of your computer and all that kind of stuff as well. Okay. And that's just to make it real simple. So a couple things. I think Dreamweaver 909, I mean, that's a good point. You could flash the BIOS to the latest version. Your motherboard manufacturer may have an update for you. But before you do that, you know what's funny about those USB flash readers is that sometimes plug-and-play BIOSes simply mess up. And you'll find that on occasion, and it's worth a shot because it's really, really easy to test. I mean, those are plugged into the pins on your motherboard. Unplug it. Boot up your computer. Shut down your computer. Unplug your computer. Plug the pins into a different USB port on the motherboard. Okay. find a different USB header, and then plug in and boot up the computer again and see if it picks it up. Because sometimes just kind of resetting the BIOS's memory of that device, just with that simple procedure, will sometimes bring it back to life. And if that fails, I mean, Dreamweaver 909 makes a good point about flashing the BIOS to a later version. You could try card readers are dirt cheap. You can try another one just to see if it's the card reader, just to rule that out.
Yeah.
There are a couple of different things you can try. But I don't think it's OS specific because you're saying that it's not seeing it in the BIOS itself either. So good luck. Let us know.
Yes.
And thanks for the question.
Yes, thank you.
This is Category 5 Technology TV. Find us online, www.category5.tv. Thanks for joining us today. Send your questions in to live@category5.tv. We've still got time for more.
Yes,
Do we?
One more.
All right.
I think we got one more. This question comes from Life of Pi.
Hey, Life of Pi.
Let's see to bring up the question. I would like to see you do a show on Raspberry Pi 2 running Ubuntu Mate. I would like to see if you can overclock it. I know you can with Wheezy, but I can't find out how to do it on Mate.
That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Now, Mastermind ZH has sent us a Raspberry Pi Model B+. And you've seen me pull this out a couple times on the show. We've had this for a while, and I don't want him to think that we have forgotten about it. All the peripherals that I ordered from China are still on their way, and we're eventually going to be able to feature this. Now, getting a Model 2 would allow us to do some extra stuff for sure, but I want to do some fun projects with the Raspberry Pi, and we're going to start doing those kinds of features as time goes on, and as we separate out the shows and everything, we're going to be able to do a little more hacking on Category 5 Tech TV. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe that's something that you'd be interested in being a part of as well, because you're a bit of a geekhead as far as enjoying learning about that kind of stuff. I think.
Yes,
so
it's a lot of fun.
That would be fun. I'll try to get my hands on a Model 2. That would be awesome because they're pretty powerful. We could do a lot with that, and maybe even put together a couple of nice little servers and see what we can do with a Raspberry Pi. So looking forward to working with this one too, the B+, and see what we can do.
Yeah.
Thanks for the suggestion.
Thank you.
We will make it so.
Yeah.
I should mention, because I'm thinking you could send us a Raspberry Pi Model 2, but then that just reminded me, because that's a quick way to get it into our hands. Our mailing address has changed. So if you have our postal box written down somewhere or in your address book, make sure you go to category5.tv, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and you'll see our brand new address there. We've got a suite over on Yonge Street in Barrie. And that is your new way of sending anything to us, be it your postcards. Be one of the first 3 people to send us a postcard to our new address, and I promise you I'm going to send you a sticker.
Yay.
Category 5.
Stickers.
Yeah, Category 5 logo sticker. All right, so get on it. You got to be fast. Get them in our mailbox, all right? Send us a postcard to the new address. The reason for that is simple as far as our address change. You can find out more by going to my blog, baldnerd.com.
He is very bald.
Very nerdy. So find out more about why our address has changed over there. Thanks for being here tonight, everybody.
Yay. I always
Do you have fun?
I hope so.
I'm guessing so. Sasha, you have fun time tonight?
Yes.
All right.
A blast.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Also, Kelsey, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
And we will talk to you next Tuesday night. See you, everybody.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed the show. Category 5 TV broadcasts live from Barrie, Ontario, Canada every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you're watching this on demand or through cable TV, check out the local showtimes in your area at category5.tv and find out when you can watch live and interact in the community chat room. Category 5 is a production of Prodigy Digital Solutions and is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 2.5 Canada. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.